Please start meditation. That's all.
Let us all now dive deeper into this beautiful condition with some lilting music by Sister Ranjana Mehta.
आत्माने हालत परमात्मा जानी नथी आत्माने हालत परमात्मा जानी नथी तात जब तक आपकी हम पर मेहरबानी नथी आत्मा ने हालत परमात्मा जानी मैं तलाशे राहे हक राहे हक मुत तो हेरा फिरा आप जब रहबर बने तब कुछ परेशानी थी आत्मा निहाल थे आपके तालीम से पहले तबीयत में मेरे आपकी तालीम से पहले तबीयत में मेरे कौन शैतानी न थी और कौन नादानी न थी आत्मा निहाल थे हमने असमत गुनाहों से मेरा नापाक था हमने असमत गुनाहों से मेरा नापाक था पाक कर दिया आपकी वो पाक दामानी न थी आत्मा निहाल थे ना खुदा बन कर बचाई आपने मेरी ना खुदा बन कर बचाई आपने मेरी जिसकी इस बहरे जहां में कुछ निगहबानी न थी आत्मा निहाल थे परमात्मा जानी न थी भेंट करती हूँ श्री चरणों में ये हृदय श्रद्धा प्रसून है समर्पित श्री चरणों में ये हृदय श्रद्धा प्रसून इससे बढ़िया और कोई शय पास लासानी न थी आत्मा निहाल थे परमात्मा जाने न थी नाथ जब तक आपकी हम पर मेहरबानी न थी आत्मा निहाल थे आत्मा निहाल थे आत्मा निहाल थे परमात्मा जानिए अति।
I now invite Brother Prakash Seshadri to give a talk.
Good morning, Master. Dear sisters and brothers. When it comes to financial instruments, there is this famous rating system that tells you whether a financial system is good or bad. If it's triple C, it's considered to be low. And then you have triple B and things like that. What is really good is when it becomes triple A. When a fund or a financial system is triple A rated, it's supposed to be good. Like the three C's that I shared on 27th of September during beloved Master's birthday. Today I'm going to share a triple A concept which would help us to integrate the message of this Bandara, which is about being joyful. There's once this saint and a commoner who are sitting below a tree, a fully blooming tree with thousands of leaves. And that the saint very proudly tells this disciple that my God, my Guru is so happy with me that I'll be liberated anytime soon. And then they both decide to check out whether this is going to happen or not. Then God or the Guru descends, and the so-called saint asks the Guru, when will I be liberated? He says, you have to come back another 5 lives before you're going to be liberated. The saint is heartbroken. How can you do this to me? I am considered to be your best of disciples. I have done everything that you have told me to do. The Guru or the God just smiles. And then the other commoner asks the Guru, when will I be liberated? So the Guru says that, look at the tree. The number of leaves that are there in this tree is the number of lives you have to take before you are liberated. And then the common man jumps up and down in joy and says, I'm so happy. My Guru has confirmed I will be liberated after 1,000 lives. This is the difference between non-acceptance and acceptance. Many years back, I remember that me and Daaji, along with a few other Abhyasis, were sitting in Manapakam, and Lalaji Maharaj was seated outside. And suddenly he looked at a few of us and said, most probably all of you will have to come back soon. And we were all shocked. I was particularly shocked. No, I mean, for an Abhyasi, the minimum goal at least is said to be liberation, and then you move beyond. It just sort of shook me out. And then later, inside I was speaking with Daaji, and then he said, when Master says something, there has to be a meaning behind it. Accept it and move on. And then a strange thing happened. After about 3 days, early in the morning, I had a beautiful dream. In this dream, I see that Chariji Maharaj is coming back in another about 500 to 600 years. And those who are around him in this lifetime are being prepared so that they will come back again when he is going to come after 500, 600 years. This was just a dream. And then I shared this both with Daaji as well as Chariji Maharaj, and Chariji Maharaj just smiled, didn't say anything. At that point of time, I understood the importance of what acceptance is. 2 days back, when we were having a conversation with Daaji in his house, he was beautifully sharing that at some point of time, the only challenge all of us are going to have is nothing but our ego in our journey beyond the heart region. It keeps rebelling all the time to such an extent that people who evolve or so called evolved people struggle with this subtle ego all the time. Why is Master doing this to me? I recently remember a situation where a volunteer in a center was made as 2 levels higher than the center coordinator under whom he or she was doing the work of the master. And this set off a series of conversations where the EZC or the CC was asking, how can master put someone who was a volunteer above me? These kind of situations we'll continuously face throughout our lives, specifically in spiritual life as well as in material life. Acceptance, Daji mentioned 2 days back, is what leads to surrender. And without surrender or saranagati, there is no real progress for a sadhak. This is not very easy. If you really look at the concept of acceptance, every day we are faced, according to a recent study, between 300 to 400 situations where we have to quickly decide whether to accept or reject. But many times, the choices that are placed in front of you that you tend to reject is what happens to define what might have been a better option for you. I have found, at least in the path of Sahaj Marg, that whatever comes to you, accept so that it becomes much easier. How do I accept? Is it really easy? For this, I just wanted to give the example of something that you might not have heard before. You can Google it and find out later. It's a very small insect which lives in the sea called tardigrade. This is supposed to have been there for billions of years from the time the earth was created or born or came into existence. This was one of the few species that was sent in the first mission to moon and was left there to study to find what is the impact of species other than humans that a lunar system has on such species. In one of the subsequent visits, it was found out that after 30 years, tardigrade was the only one that survived the harsh atmosphere of moon. They later found out that it has the characteristics to live without oxygen or food for close to 40 to 50 years. It can survive temperature change of up to 250 degrees plus or minus. And there are only 2, 3 species which have lived through from the time the earth has been created. Scientists further sort of confirm that it is their ability to adapt to changes. To quote Charles Darwin, he famously said, the species that survive will not be the strongest, but the one who is fastest to adapt to change. Every time that I come across a situation, only thing that I have seen consistently in the path of Sahaj Marg is your adaptability to change the situation. You go to do a connect activity, you suddenly find that the seekers don't turn up, or the volunteers don't come, or you don't have the facilities that was promised to you, or you come for a bandara, you had a comfort dome booking, but you don't get what you want to sleep in the bed or the room that they are committed to. Every such situation that we have seen, that what immediately helps us is our ability to adapt to what will help us to progress faster and joyfully. The third point that I wanted to connect before I go through the key 11 point that Master has given in this message is your ability to glue these two together using what we call as attitude, which will let us reach the third A. Attitude is the glue. Recently, I was reading one of the quotations of Daaji where he says 95% of our practice is about attitude, only 5% is the actual practice itself. Practice by itself doesn't make any big difference to us. It is that attitude of that commoner who accepted that my guru said I'll get liberated in thousand lives from now. Likewise, whatever happens, the cheerful attitude. Daaji has repeatedly quoted in many of his talks about the birth of Vidura, who was born because of the attitude of the servant maid who was ready to take the generation forward joyfully. And the output was someone like Vidura. The same thing that happens to us in every situation that makes us to become joyful is our ability to accept and adapt using our attitude, which will let us arise joyfully to every situation. Let me go through the 11 points that Daji has given in this message and see how these connect to the three A's that I have shared. The first point that he shares here is to remove the preconditioning that you have been born with because of your parents, because of the community, and because of our own thinking that we have developed over a period of time. The biggest, I would say that mistake that we do is continuously judging situations, judging people all the time, by which instead of living the moment, we only lose our time in judging what's happening around me. This preconditioning, which leads to prejudice, is one of the first blocks of becoming joyful. By accepting what happens around me, it makes it much easier for me to progress towards being joyful. The second point that he shares in this message is one of Chariji's famous so called 11th maxim as they introduce expect not. I always share this in all my corporate sessions as well. Efforts is in our hands, results surely are not. Whether it's a sports field or a business arena or even your own practice, what you can do in that situation is the only one on which you have control. What output has to be is something that we have absolutely no control upon. If we start expecting the results for the efforts that we put in, life becomes more joyful. If I go to meet Daji and he doesn't meet me, I have put in the efforts of being there to meet him. He doesn't meet me, it's his decision. The same is for every effort that we put, whether it's a reach out activity, whether it's an administrative work that you do, a back end work you do, you may be a volunteer in the IT department or social media or whatever. Putting the best of your efforts, which he connects back in one of the other points later. This also is about the attitude of acceptance. The third point that he speaks in this message is about not to barter anything. There is this famous story where this movie, which I watched once with Daji along with Lalaji Maharaj, called Be Dazzled, where the hero is given a choice of about 7 or 8 wishes to make. Every time he barters that wish for something that he finally finds out that this is not what he should have asked for. And finally, he comes to the point where he understands that it's all about acceptance. We never know what the other person is going through in terms of their life. When someone drives in a fancy car or lives in a posh place, we tend to think, can we barter? Can we barter this person's place? Can we barter this person's condition? Oh, so and so is a functionary, so and so is in so much region or heart region or this region or whatever. The moment we barter, we really don't know what they are going through. Hence, he cautions against the need to barter in whatever we do, which again connects back to the point of acceptance. The fourth point he shares, which leads us to attitude of joy, is where he talks about being grateful to all, not just to one or two people, but being grateful to everyone whom you come across in life. It again, it's about a attitude of acceptance. Not easy, but we can make a beginning today. The fifth point that he shares in the message is about fulfilling your commitment to its fullest towards yourself and your loved ones. This is your ability to adapt to every situation. Fulfilling a commitment again, you can only do the efforts. What comes out as a result is purely up to the masters to decide. So if you do that, and not only to you, to the people whom you love, that connects back to the quotation of BABUJI Maharaj, you know, love all him whom he loves, or love him who loves all. When you do that, automatically you found that the love flows to all the people and fulfilling a commitment becomes easy. The sixth point that he shares in this message is the need or your ability to learn to forgive what happens. Long ago, once it happened that someone came to Charji Maharaj's room, and I remember that I, Daaji, and a few other people were there, and this person was upset about something. And he asked, Master, would you forgive me? He said, for a master, the need to forgive doesn't exist. Because, first of all, they don't have to worry about what happens when you do something to the master. And then the person asked, do you forget what happened? He said, forgetting is in your hands. Because when you remember about what you did, it reflects on me, and then whatever happened 5, 10, 20 years back comes back. So if you really learn from this, learning to forgive and reaching the level where you don't even need to forgive, you are in a level of being in perfect osmosis with the master. Because a true master, as we would know, doesn't have to forgive because he is beyond the point of having to forgive us for what we do. If you look at the seventh point that he speaks about, he says here that harbor neither jealousy nor envy nor prejudice. To do this, you need to go to the third point that I wanted to share, the A, which is about arise. Arise above the duality of existence, arise above the duality of your thinking between good and bad, right and wrong, and things like that. It becomes much easier. The eighth point that he shares in this message is something that leads us to a very grounded living, a simple living, as per Maxim 4. Seek more and more of less and less. It's again about our ability to adapt. Each and every one of us in our life have much more than what we really need. This is something that I can say out of my own personal experience, that masters have been so gracious, specifically towards who do his work so well. I can only quote here from my personal experience that whatever is bestowed upon me is beyond what I think I really deserve in my life. But this is something that attitude, if you're able to build, of having to seek more and more of less and less, at least in a material sense, it makes our existence much more easier and our ability to do our job for him much more, I would say, adaptive. The ninth point that he speaks in this message is to be in tune with nature, which is part of the 10 maxims, which lets us again arise to a level of being joyful. And the 10th point that he shares here is about let compassion be for others, not only for yourself. Many of us are quite smart in our life. We are compassionate to ourselves. So he is quite categorical in defining it here. Don't be compassionate to yourself, but also compassionate to others as well, just not for yourself. And that leads us to the culmination of the 11th point. Let joyfulness, gratefulness, and humility become your intrinsic climate. Climate is something that lasts for a long time, so we'll understand the difference between atmosphere and climate there. Choose a lifestyle which really makes your heart to expand continuously. What does this heart expand really mean to us? If I really look at the work of the masters, at the spiritual level, their work, they really do not need much of the support from any of us at all, other than joyful cooperation in the work that he does. But really looking at the kind of work that the masters do at a materialistic level. Today, let's look at the vision of the masters. They want to take the message of heartfulness to every nook and corner of the world. It was the vision of BABUJI Maharaj to have at least one preceptor in every home. For all this to happen, there is one big common denominator that will have to help us to take this movement forward, what we would call typically as vitamin M. In this materialistic plane, at least, it is essential, at least for our own living and for the mission to expand its footprints. We need a lot of monetary support. While there are several organizations that come in and support, let's look at a wedding that happens in our family. Do we wait for only one person to come contribute to conduct the wedding, or we all pull together what we have? Way back in 2016, I remember in one of the talks that he gave, he spoke about the importance of micro donations, something that we can do 1 rupee a day, 5 rupees a day, whatever you can. He always says that do not stretch and give more than what he can, but all of us surely have much more than what we need. It's only when your hearts expand to understand that we are part of this large heartfulness family. It's not that the master runs this mission on his own, but it is a collective combined effort of each and every one Abhyasi. Every single effort of each one of you will make a huge difference to the progress of the mission. If the mission expands, the entire world gets to benefit from heartfulness and what message it has to offer. Every master's wish, being having been close with them, is something that I understand that they want to take the message to every part of the world in their lifetime itself. They are in a tiring hurry. And for that to happen, if we make things much more joyfully, it is very painful even for me to talk this in front of him because it's not something that he might want to hear. No father would want to hear one son telling other sons and daughters that our father wants us to participate in this process. Let's all unite together joyfully, see how well we can participate in ensuring that the message of heartfulness reaches every nook and corner of the world, maybe in the next few years to come. Let's accept, adapt, develop the attitude, and arise joyfully to meet the needs of this world through the services that our masters are always ever ready to offer. Thank you.